would I say?
Just support WrestleTalk. Give the channel a subscribe.
Hi, support WrestleTalk, and I forget the rest of the line, so we're just going to take this again. Give us a subscribe.
Yeah, I struggle with it as well. I always trip over it.
Give us a subscribe.
That's the one.
Okay. What's it? Support
You're the
WrestleTalk.
star here.
Okay. Hi, this. Support WrestleTalk. Hi, support. Okay. Hi, support WrestleTalk and give it a. Jesus! Oh my goodness! Right, sorry. Take 10. Support WrestleTalk. Give it a subscribe.
There you go.
Okay. Hi, support WrestleTalk and give it a subscribe.
I'm so enunciated.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
What's next for Raw Underground? If it even is around on Monday. I am Blue Cohen, and I'm joined this week by MuscleManMalcolm. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going well. How are you? Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. I'm very, very well. Thank you very much. Very hot. The sun has just come out at 20 to 5 in the evening, and it's now just got a bit too warm, and I'm very, very hot. So apologies if you can hear massive traffic moving outside, but I had to open a window. Otherwise, it was going to get gross in here. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. For any of our viewers who don't know who you are, what is a MuscleManMalcolm?
All right. So hello, everyone. My name is MuscleManMalcolm. I'm a wrestling YouTuber, obviously. I do a lot of different type of content. I do interviews. I actually just recently talked to Ethan Page like yesterday. I do top 10.
What a guy.
Oh, he's a hilarious guy. Great guy to talk to. I do blogs. I go to meet and greets all the time. I'm mainly just like an overall wrestling creator. I'm also part of another big wrestling group called Vibe. It's a pretty big group of like a bunch of different wrestling YouTubers. Very talented guys. Very talented. So make sure to come over and subscribe if you feel like, because I'm getting close to 20K.
Well, there's a link to Malcolm's channel in the podcast description down below. So go and click that right now. Go over there and subscribe. Support wrestling YouTube. It's a fun place to be. So I said this last week when I had Kashania on, and someone was like, wrestling YouTube, like the comment section is not a fun place to be. And I'm like, no, it's good. We're all nice. We're all friendly around here. Right. Well, speaking of, some people not being particularly friendly, it was very rough down in Raw Underground on Monday night. So if you didn't see Raw this week, you must have heard about this. If you didn't see Raw this week, they were building this thing up. Shane McMahon has come back, and he's got this new exciting thing that he's going to be doing, right? And the exciting thing that he's doing is Fight Club. He's got this underground Fight Club that he's hosting. There's dancing ladies. It's got this sort of like porn music that's kind of playing underneath, and it's shoot fights. Like Babatunde was there. Eric from the Viking Raiders had a match. Dolph Ziggler had a match. At the end of it, the Hurt Business came in and they sort of like beat up a load of people. And it's a lot of people. It was one of the busiest Raw episodes we've had in a while in terms of like user engagement. Like people being like, what the hell was it? A, and B, like, what can you do next with it? So first off, what did you make of Raw Underground?
Oh, Raw Underground, I mean, it was kind of like a Fight Club, honestly, but it was like missing something. I don't know exactly what it was, but like I guess the idea of having it have like 3 minutes of airtime, then kind of back to normal Raw, and then 3 minutes of airtime, then back to Raw, kind of like took me out of it. So like if the last hour or 30 minutes was just Raw Underground, I probably would have loved it a lot more. But I'm excited to see what happens next. So like with Lashley and MVP and everyone being there, I think it's a lot more interesting because everyone there has more of a real fight background. Because like MVP trains MMA. Shelton Benjamin, he just looks like he can kick someone's butt. And then Lashley, I mean, he was in Bellator. So, it's very obvious that these guys know what they're doing when it comes to a real life fight.
Yeah, because Shelton's a collegiate athlete, right? He's like collegiate wrestler.
Yeah.
He was anyway. Yeah. Like it was amazing. When the Hurt Business came in and like beat up all those dudes, it looked really, really cool, right? Like they sort of stand there and like, we run this place now. All underdone by Shane McMahon coming up and being like, hey, it's like, it's cool, right? I did an extra podcast bit with Laurie for the Fight Network show that we've got here in the UK. Yeah. And he said this, it felt like a rich kid's birthday party. Like his dad said, you can have whatever you want. And he said, Dad, I want an underground fight club. And that's what it was.
That's very accurate.
It just
Fight Club.
Yeah, because it was really uncool with Shane McMahon there, and like the dancing girls made it feel very like caught. Like, oh man, I felt mad, and I was like, I hope my wife doesn't come in to see me watch this.
Yeah.
How do you even explain this away? But like, we've had a lot of people ask, what could be next for it. Now, I think this is going to be a very short-lived thing. Like, this is Corey Graves' electric chair. This is Mick Foley's darker third hour. Like, it's going away in 2 weeks' time. But what would you like to see next from Raw Underground?
I feel like Raw Underground should be like a new version of like how Hell in a Cell was treated back in the day, when it was treated for like just like those really big fight feels and not like its own little separate pay-per-view. So like whenever there's like a real fight and these guys are like, there's not wrestling, it's a fight now, they should take it to Raw Underground. So like whenever you see those matches, like, oh, this is personal, fella, we're gonna make this real, go to Raw Underground. Don't have like a one-on-one match with headlocks and rest holds.
That's a fast. Do you know what? I didn't even think of that, but that's a brilliant idea. Is that it rather than it is this sort of like separate promotion that's sort of run in like the garage of the performance center, it's a match type. So
Yeah.
like I challenge you. I'll see you in Underground. Like that is for me is way better, because it takes away the issues you've got with like, well, this stuff over here is real, but this stuff over here is fake. Like it kind of works that way.
Yeah. Because like it's kind of weird because like WWE's still in like a PG era. So like there's only but so much you can do in a real fight that it's not gonna look PG. Because like if you're really fighting someone, I don't know how many fights you've ever been in your life, but like in general, maybe a couple. Maybe you and
I've thrown some fists.
Well, 1, 2, okay, I see that. But like in a real life fight field, I'm not worried about doing a suplex. I'm worried about getting my off the ground. Like it's just not a part of my repertoire. It's like, oh, let me put in a chin lock just to make sure that I really work on his neck and stuff. Like, no, get him to the ground, do what you got to do. So like if you're gonna have it, it should really be more like a match stipulation rather than I guess a whole hour maybe of just like fighting, because like there's only but so much you can do in an hour. There's only but so many wrestlers you have that could be on just Raw and Raw Underground, because like not everyone on the roster feels like they're a fighter. They're more of they're an entertainer. Like I'm not gonna see Bayley fight Shayna for real and think that Bayley can actually win. It's just impossible. Like the Shayna can kill someone.
Yeah, legit. Like, and I said this on the Raw podcast as well, but I could actually, I wouldn't mind them using Raw Underground as a way to debut this new group, Retribution. I think that their name is, they're called now. So like, you've run this for a couple of weeks with Shane doing his uncool stuff, and Retribution just come in and just like tear the whole thing apart, and just like, they shut it down, and that's the way that you debut this group. And then like, Raw Underground never sort of comes back in, unless, as you say, they use it as a match type. Yeah. I could kind of see them using that as like, almost like the Nexus debut, where they just came in and just destroyed the Raw set. And it was like a really impactful debut. Like I feel like that could might be a good way to use it as well.
Definitely. Like, it just depends on who's actually in that stable, because like if you pull some guys from NXT, like I can't think, like if Cameron Grimes was a part of Retribution, and then now he's on Raw Underground actually fighting, I'm not gonna take that seriously because he comes out with a funny hat and just talks. Like I can't take that seriously. But if it's like Dijak comes out there, I'm like, oh, he looks legit. I'm kind of scared of him. That makes sense why it's on Raw Underground. So it really just depends on who's in the group and their motives. Because like if it's just some like silly dudes from NXT, it ain't gonna work. If it's some silly dudes from Evolve, like if I see Leon Ruff, as much as I love the guy, I can't take him seriously. He's a little small to be getting there with like Babatunde. Like I can't take that seriously.
I mean, Spurs, you've sold me on this. I want to see Raw Underground become, so it's not just like, it's not a part of Raw. It's not this sort of weird offshoot thing. It just becomes like it's a match stipulation that you build, and you can really build this like huge aura around it, because it is like, it's shot, it's kind of half shot well and half shot not, because like it's shot cool. Like it's got the really cool lighting and everything. But like with the Kevin Dunn camera cuts and stuff, like Mike Sempervive went through, and it was a cut every 1.5 seconds, basically, which is just, it's nonsense. It's a terrible way to shoot a product.
Yeah, it was like 4 different cuts when like Lashley was like gut-wrenching suplexing the guy, or gut-wrench powerbomb. It was just like cut. I'm like, I don't know where I'm looking anymore. It's like, get one shot. Like if this is a real feel, just make one shot. Maybe even shake the camera a little bit to get some more like realism to it. I just need maybe 1 to 2 shots, maybe 3 if it's good enough, but 2 is the max when it comes to something that's supposed to be taken as very legit.
Yeah, you've sold me on this. I want it as a match type without Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
Because if I can't have Shane McMahon being like just sweating around there, you know, and I know because I'm sweating right now. You don't need a sweaty man being there going like, yeah, I know, right? I saw the headband. I was like, man, what a smart guy. And I was like, I don't need Shane McMahon being around going like, hit him, big man, hit him, big man. You're a big man, hit him, big man. I was like, shut up, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. If it doesn't result in Shane getting in there and fighting with someone, and someone beats up Shane, then like his point of being there is a little sad. Because like eventually it's gonna get to a point where it's like Lucha Underground, but with more camera shots. Like that's what it kind of feels like with like Shane running around and talking. So like if he gets in there and fights and maybe gets beat up by somebody that takes over Raw Underground, like MVP maybe, because like I mean he's almost like legit talker there. So if Shane can like get out some way before he's in there too long, people start to hate it, then after that he gotta go.
Yeah, and like there are certain characters that I don't. We've got one of our mailbag questions. I can't remember who it's from, but I won't name check you later. Said like, you know, I'd like to see the Fiend and Braun Strowman in there, but like I'm like you. There's certain characters that I don't think almost like don't work. Like I don't want to see the Fiend in Raw or Underground. Like it doesn't. I guess half of me sort of does really, but like it doesn't really feel like it fits. Like I don't want to see the Undertaker in there either. But like Dijak, absolutely, I want to see him in there. Shayna Baszler, absolutely, I want to see them in there. But there are certain characters I don't really want to see in Raw Underground, unless it's like because you mentioned Bayley, right?
Yeah,
like Bayley's funny if she goes in there and hates it, like she doesn't want to be there, then it works. But if Bayley goes in there with like, you know, her fist taped, I'd be like, I'm a badass now. It's like, no, you're not, mate.
Yeah, that would have at all. Like it just depends on like who's in there, honestly. Like even if like you pull some guys from SmackDown, which I know would be kind of weird for the whole rosters and stuff, but someone like Matt Riddle, that's made for him. And I know he's talked about it on Twitter too. Because it was like I think he mentioned it being like a Josh Barnett like ripoff of like GCW.
Oh yeah, it's Bloodsport, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically that. So like if you pull some guys from like SmackDown that would look legit in it, then sure. But like more gimmicky guys, like if No Way Jose was still in WWE and I saw him wear some jeans with taped up fists at Raw Underground, I'm going to turn the television off. I'm going to watch something. I can't take that.
And I'm only going to play this for you because as an American, I would imagine that you don't really know much about Alan Partridge. But when I saw the Dancing Girls, there's a scene from Alan Partridge, and it's all I could think of, which was there.
Would you like me to lap dance for you?
That is all I could think of.
That is Raw Underground. A little more fighting in this Raw, easily.
Right, well, let's get into the Patreon mailbag. If you want to submit a question to the mailbag, all you've got to do is become one of our awesome pledge hammers on Patreon at any dollar amount and leave a question in the community tab. Do not email me. I will just lose it. I'm bad at my job. This first question comes in from Abhiram, who says, I've been really stressed out this past month. I'm watching and listening to WrestleTalk, Parts Fun 9, and by extension, Fightful and Denise Salcedo has been helping me a lot. Not to put you on the spot, but do you guys have any advice to avoid getting stressed?
You want me to answer it first or you?
Go for it, man. Yeah, go for
it. Stress. I like to lift weights. I like to exercise. That's kind of my thing. I'm a power lifter. So go running. Get a jump rope. Actually, I was talking to Leo Rush the other day, which is a really random thing to say. But I'm trying to
I just pick up that name you dropped.
Boom, right there. Well, I'm trying to be a wrestler. So I asked him, like, what's the best way to get in conditioning and whatnot? Because, like, we're kind of close. So he told me, he's like, just get a jump rope and just start going for it. Because, like, one, it relieves all your stress because your mind is so focused on like the exercise and sweating and just being out of breath that everything else will kind of push itself to the side if you want it to or if you don't want it to. And I mean, just in general, just, you know, watch some wrestling, watch some Netflix, Hulu. Gotta get
it seems like a really cheap answer to say, like, you need to sort of find what kind of makes you happy. And like you said in there that like watching and listening to our podcasts has kind of like helped you feel a bit better. So like find some other podcasts that like find some other YouTube channels that you really enjoy watching and use that as your way to kind of like unwind. Like my way to sort of de-stress myself is like I you know, I will go for a walk and I will listen to a podcast. Like I've got a set number of podcasts I listen to: Talking Simpsons, Cinematic Universe, RIP Seb Patrick. There's like a bunch of podcasts that I listen to that are just like, this is my way to sort of escape into my own little world. Cooking's another one for me. I love to cook.
It's a great one.
Like that. which can sometimes be as stressful if it doesn't go the way that I want it to. I was trying to peel a potato yesterday and I cut myself doing it and I was really annoyed. Anyway, Flaming Clive said, if you had to switch one main eventer and one jobber to the other role from the Ruthless Aggression, who would it be? So, like, you know, the main eventer becomes the jobber and vice versa. Huh. But okay, from Ruthless Aggression, that's harder.
Yeah, like I can't even think of jobbers from then.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's what I was trying to think of. Like, who was a famous jobber in the Ruthless Aggression era?
Was considered a jobber? Like, I don't know if he's really he's kind of big.
Yeah, it's gonna say he's a cruiserweight champion. He had that stuff with The Rock. Hey, Roderick Strong was a jobber for an episode of SmackDown in that match against Kurt Angle, so maybe him. Like, I think now might be an easier time to pick because I think they've got more jobbers on there. Ricochet, I feel like he feels like a bit of a jobber at the moment and 100% should be in the main event.
Oh my God, they did Ricochet so dirty. They did so dirty. Oh my God. It's so sad. This dude was facing Brock, lost, and then just became irrelevant and lost to Riddick Moss. I was at the arena when he lost to Riddick Moss. I cried a little. How do you lose to who's Riddick Moss? No.
Was that kind of feeling like throughout? Because like, I mean, when we watched that show, I was dumbfounded that Ricochet got beat by Riddick Moss. But was like that like felt throughout the building?
In my section, at least, we're all like, well, what else is there to watch now? Like, that's one of the guys we came to watch, and he lost to Riddick Moss. Who's Riddick Moss? I can't take the rest of the show seriously. I'm not excited to see Rollins. I'm not excited to see Styles. I wanted to see Ricochet, and he lost to Riddick Moss.
So taking the other side of it, is there any like main event you'd like to see in sort of like an enhancement talent position?
Main event. I mean, maybe like a veteran guy, maybe like a Mysterio or something, because there's so many guys on like that lower end of the card that need that one big match to kind of get them over. So if Mysterio became like a main eventer that jobbed to a bunch of younger guys, then sure. But as terms of like an actual main eventer, WWE still needs to build up stars. So I wouldn't want to take anyone like McIntyre and then make them on like main event. Like I can't do that to them. So like a veteran guy definitely.
Actually, I mean, we found our answer there because McIntyre was a jobber guy like during the Ruthless Aggression into the Cena era and is now a main eventer.
Yeah, there he is.
Irakli says, if Drew retains at SummerSlam, who should he face next?
He already faced Rollins. Dominic Mysterio.
Oh man, you want to really push Dom straight up into that? Like, I mean, it's certainly a heck of a way to push the kid, I guess. Yeah,
go for it. Make it happen.
I'd like to see Owens. I'd like to see Owens like step back up into the WWE Championship picture, right?
Yeah, I mean, like if him as a heel, maybe because McIntyre is like, he's not like a super baby face, but he's also not like a tweener. So like I feel like a face Owens would feel all authentic against a McIntyre because like face Owens is kind of like a softie, but like heel Owens, he doesn't care about anything. So a heel Owens, yes. This Owens, I don't know.
And if I can't get my
I got one. I'm sorry to cut you off. Andrade's the man.
Yeah. Yes. Andrade's a great shout, absolutely. And if I can't get my Adam Cole Undisputed Era call up, like with them sort of claymoring, laying him out after the SummerSlam goes off the air or during SummerSlam going off the air, then the other guy that I'm going to pick, damn, I just had a name then and it's completely escaped from me.
Dominic Mysterio.
No, Lashley. Honestly, Lashley get back into that picture, man, because he only lost because of Lana, right? Lana's not there anymore. So Lashley's got like a reason to go back in for that title.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. How do I forget about Lashley? Yeah, definitely. Because like he's not even doing anything right now because it's all about MVP right now with the US title. So yeah, Lashley easily.
Callum Man says, hey guys, since the WWE releases in April, we've seen a lot of that release talent sign with Impact and AEW. So it got me thinking, if you could book a 5-match card for an Impact versus AEW show, what matches would you book? Thanks for always your hard work. We really do appreciate it. We kind of had this question a little bit last week because I had the Young Bucks versus the North, I think I had said there, because I'd really like to see that. Because we've kind of seen like Bucks versus Machine Guns. Like that's a dream match that I've already got to see. Callahan versus Moxley is a match I would absolutely love. That'd be great. And Jordan Grace versus Hikaru Shida. I think it'd be wicked.
I didn't think about that one.
Yeah, And FTR versus the Machine Guns. Then if I can't do the Bucks,
that's not bad. I would put like I would put the North against probably FTR because I feel like their like styles kind of blend together. Because like Josh Alexander is more of a technical guy, and FTR they're more technical and like all ego. He's kind of just out there just yelling and screaming, so it's hilarious. So like that match would feel like for me would probably be like the best. And then when it comes to like Eddie Edwards maybe because he's like the world champion, maybe an Omega just because like Edwards has always been really good. He's just never had that top match. I feel like Omega could be the guy that gives it to him. So Edwards
that's
underrated.
That's a really good shout. I was just trying to think of like who Edwards could go up against, but yeah, actually that's a really good shout. Yeah, Omega's a perfect because I was just thinking then like, man, who would do Omega? Rob Van Dam? No, maybe not Rob Van Dam.
That would be bad.
It would be good. Yeah, it'd be pretty good. Dre says, hey guys, thanks for all the content. I was watching some old wrestling and it jogged my mind that I had to be introduced to NXT because I wasn't always interested in going onto the network and watching it. But after Paige beat AJ Lee and not knowing who she was, it caused me to start watching NXT. And since then, it's really the only promotion I watch in full, aside now from AEW as well. Do you remember what initially got you to watch NXT on the network?
His name doesn't get talked about that much anymore because of situations. But Velveteen, just because I'm from DC, he's from DC, so and he was put on banger matches back then. So Velveteen was like the guy for me personally. So
it was my buddy John because NXT used to air here on Sky Sports, which I don't have because Rupert Murdoch's awful. Don't buy the Sun. But like, so he used to tell me, he's like, oh man, you got to check out NXT. It's wicked. Then it was the match between Cesaro and Sami Zayn, where he was like, dude, you got to check this out. This match is awesome. And I went around to his and I watched and I was like, holy hell, what's this NXT thing? This used to be a rubbish thing. And then when I got the network and it started to become a weekly show, that was it. I got the network day one because I used a VPN to get it because we didn't get it here in the UK. And the first thing I watched was the Invasion pay-per-view again, Halloween Havoc 98. And then I was watching NXT on a weekly basis. And because they were doing their takeover shows, I was just hooked. Absolutely loved it.
I believe that. Yeah.
Alex Storm says, hey fellas, over the past year or so, I've seen a Wonder Ollie shirt, an El Fakador shirt, now a Dance Chopper shirt, but absolutely zero for Resident Sweetie Pie Luke Owen. When is Luke getting a shirt? Why does he keep getting this shaft? I think this could be rectified with a very simple shirt that has 2 words on it, Smeg. Just a thought. Yeah, I've not. Well, it's because, so when we did the relaunch of the merchandise, I went on holiday and I forgot to submit a design or like even suggestions for a design. So we were like, well, we'll do you in the next line. And then we never really got around to doing that next line. So now I'm just saying, like, never do me a t-shirt. It just should always be a running joke that I never get a t-shirt.
I think that could work. Like Jericho didn't have a shirt back in like 08 when he was like a heel and stuff. So that could be like your version, but you're like a good
guy. Callum, do you think the Undisputed Era is ever going to get called up to Raw or SmackDown? Personally, I think it should. I think they should because they have nothing else to do in NXT. But I'm also quite scared that Vince won't understand and it'll just become another failed call-up. I think Adam Cole could take the title off of Drew, but probably not likely. What are your thoughts? Well, Adam Cole is going to be facing Pat McAfee at NXT Triple X.
That seems amazing.
Oh yeah, you're in for it.
I'm very happy for it.
That's cool because like the only comments I've really heard from it so far are Adam, who wasn't in for it, and Laurie, who said that he's just going to walk into the ocean rather than watch the match.
No, it seems entertaining. I like it. Pat is pretty entertaining. Like when you give him a fair shake on the microphone, like he's annoying, but it's like the type of annoying that I will listen to. It's not like turn off the television annoying. It's like something like I can get into this. Like just give me some time. I'm gonna like him more.
It was Pat, wasn't it? That on the pre-show for, I can't remember which show it was. It was on one of the pre-shows there. I think it was WrestleMania last year. He wore a suit jacket and shorts.
Yep, that was the guy.
Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? Yeah. I remember watching that being like, what an asshole.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this guy. I kind of like him though. He's something about him is different.
But yeah, so do you think Undisputed Era will ever get called up?
Yes, but I think they're going to get put on 205 Live kind of quickly just because like Adam Cole can probably do well as like a really good Intercontinental champion. I don't see him being, I think he has the quality to be a world champion. Don't get me wrong, but I don't feel like they are going to see the quality of him being a world champion. Like Roderick Strong could be a great cruiserweight champion, honestly, but I just don't see them giving him a fair rub at being like a top mid-carder or a top guy in the company. And then the other two, Kyle could be a world champion. I like Kyle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean they've all got like the ability to be world champions.
Oh, yeah.
I can certainly see like Carl and Roddy, or Carl and Bobby rather, getting the tag titles.
Oh.
I think if I was to call them up, I'd like to see them on SmackDown. I just sort of feel like, because you got like it's becoming this sort of like work rate place, because you've got like Riddle and Gulak and Bryan and Styles and Meta League doing all their stuff over there. So I feel like that's a better place for them.
I don't know. I think Raw might be the place, because like they're a lot more character based. They are very good in the ring, but I feel like they're slowly becoming more characters than wrestlers at moments. And like Raw is a lot more character focused than it is wrestling focused, and that's where Adam Cole can shine. Because while he's a great wrestler, they might not let him, have those amazing matches that go like 15, 30 minutes. So like if he can get on the microphone and talk, and all the other ones can talk with him, I think that's like their best like recipe for success.
Dwayne the Gronk Johnson says, some of the cinematic matches from the no fans era of wrestling have been fantastic. I've just watched the Firefly Funhouse match for the 200th time, and it's just as great. It's been of the only good things about the no fans era for me. The natural fan reactions are what make wrestling so enjoyable, and I'm struggling to enjoy the product hearing Performance Center recruits who get belittled by Kevin Dunn to give the reactions that he and McMahon want. This made me want to ask you guys, what do you think have been some of the better aspects of the no fans era of wrestling aside from cinematic matches? 2 words: Bayley and Sasha Banks.
I'm the biggest Sasha Banks fan in the world. I love Sasha Banks. She's amazing.
Incredible. I'm so happy they've been on all 3 shows.
Oh, yeah.
Can't get enough of them. I just think they're so great.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've generally been one of my favorite parts of no fans era.
Honestly, my biggest like support of no fans era has been probably women's wrestling, because like every women's division, I know AEW is kind of slacking at times, but the characters that are shown, at least for AEW and the other brands, they're all doing really well. Like, yeah, SmackDown is working on it, but most of the people on Raw, they're doing pretty well. NXT, they're doing amazing. And then Impact also with Deonna Purrazzo, amazing. She came out of nowhere and became a legend. Like with no fans, I feel like the people that aren't the biggest women wrestling supporters in the world, or like just don't get it sometimes, they're not there to like kind of sit there and be quiet. The whole arena is already quiet. So they can just work on like their characters and their promos, and maybe there's not like a hesitance to like kind of not say everything you're feeling on the microphone, or give all the, like the emotion you want to give.
Yeah. Jobber JJ says, hello everyone, I'm watching The Invasion for the first time, and it got me thinking. After this week's horrible Raw and WWE desperate for ratings, this booking all stems back to The Invasion. Let's throw everything. My question is, if WWE booked The Invasion, if you book The Invasion, where do you think WWE would be with viewership? I think that's like if they'd booked The Invasion well, where do you think the WWE would be with viewership? Have a nice day. #jam that jam. I'll be honest with you, I think still in the same position they're in now.
Yeah, same.
Exactly. Yeah, I really think I don't think much have changed. Like I think that they would have saved a lot of those fans, but like I think what we found from the death of WCW and ECW was that there was a bunch of kids that watched wrestling because it was cool, and then wrestling just wasn't cool anymore. So they stopped watching it. That was it.
Yeah, like when WCW died, that kind of was the end of like really popular wrestling, because like there's not that competition aspect anymore. And yeah, it's on television, and yeah, it's on one brand, but it's just not the same. Like maybe DDP would have been a bigger star in WWE, but that's like the only big one I could think of. Maybe like Booker T also. He probably would have been like, I mean, he still wasn't world champion, but probably had a multi-time like opportunities to be world champion.
Yeah, like but I think the ratings still would have dipped down, because if it's not on the front cover of TV magazines, if they're not like, because like back then they were appearing on TV shows and like they were guest appearances, like they were celebrities, and I just don't think they're not celebrities anymore. So I don't think anything would have changed, sadly.
Not really.
Dan says, hey guys, can't 2 people from different households meet in the UK now? Because if so, why not bring back the old murder room for at least Luke and Ollie and Luke's lady friends to enjoy silence for a bit? So basically, this is a question of why aren't we going back into studio, or at least going, because so yes, you can. I mean, the rules here are so messy. People can go back to work if it is like you are able to socially distance, which we can't really do in our office because the studio that we've got is 6 foot wide. So, and we're kind of like within that 6 foot. So we can't really be a foot of like, it's just a bit too close. and we haven't got enough like measures in place in the actual office bit. So yeah, I just don't think it's going to be. My wife is going to, unfortunately, just going to have to listen to me shouting and being loud in here. I'm afraid so.
I mean, like, to give kudos to you guys, I'm like, even though you can't go back to your actual office and record, I think it's probably best for like a visual standpoint for like viewers, because it still shows that everyone's still social distancing and not being around each other, regardless if like some rules say you can go back or not. So it probably sets a better example for people that don't want to follow those exact rules all the time.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of people here in the UK that don't want to follow those rules, despite them being.
I live in DC. There's plenty of those people too.
What are rules for? Daniel says, first off, I want to say hey to the whole WrestleTalk gang, and thank you so much for keeping us entertained during all of this craziness. My opinion is that Vince hates pirates, or at least the gimmick anyway. In the time that I've been watching wrestling, I've only seen, to my knowledge, 2 wrestlers with the pirate gimmick, Paul Burchill, Kairi Sane. Burchill having the gimmick for a year at most before they changed his character, and Sane never reaching the potential of the pirate princess could have been. I definitely believe that if done right, they could have, with that gimmick, especially with a more seen a more friendly, kid-friendly WWE. I say all I want to ask is it one gimmick that didn't work in wrestling that you thought could have worked given the chance, or at least that you wish could have worked? Thanks again for all the consistent content. Hope you're well. Love, Dan. He's also got a recommendation for me. It's a group called 8-Bit Universe. They take popular and well-known old school songs and turn them into 8-bit versions of those songs. Hello, I am interested in that. I'm going to check that out. So yeah, so Vince hates pirates. Is there a gimmick that you think could have worked out but didn't?
Magician Ace Austin in TNA or Impact Wrestling. He makes that weird gimmick of like, oh look, there's a card up my sleeve, like actually seem kind of cool, and like even though he's a heel and whatnot. So, and like they had that in WWE at one point with I forgot his name completely, honestly.
It was like Phantasmo or something
like that. Like
it was, yeah, he had like 1 or 2 matches, and like he made like the referee's underwear change color or something. It was very bizarre stuff. 1995.
Yep, what a year! I wasn't even born then. Well, yeah, probably like a magician, probably the best one.
Yeah, as a gimmick that didn't work out. It was a good gimmick that just did not work out. I mean, Kairi Sane really should have. Man, it's baffling that. Do you know what? Actually, I'm going to say I was a gimmick that I was shocked did not get over was Emma's dancing, because it got so massively over in NXT. I was like, this is going to translate into the main roster. Everyone's going to be doing the dance. Nope, it died a death. Absolutely died a death. And I was shocked. Absolutely shocked it didn't work.
I miss her. She was so amazing.
Oh, she really was, yeah. Freddie says, I know this is a long shot because of the storyline, but how would you feel if The Fiend showed up at Raw Underground? There it is. Freddie was the question. Yeah. I don't know. Not sure on that one. Reese says, hello, Luke, and new WrestleTalk friend. A very simple question, though potentially a negative one. In recent memory, what has been the most disappointing booked ending to a feud, and what could have been your quick fix? Not asking for a fancy booking. My example would be Miz versus Daniel Bryan in 2018. Let them have an actual match instead of a 1-minute roll-up for Bryan to win. Keep safe and thank you. Look after yourselves, from Reese. Yeah, a feud that booked really badly at the end. Like, it was just a disappointing end to the feud. I mean, like, it wasn't the match, but it's on the same bloody show. The Braun Strowman Roman Reigns Hell in a Cell match where Brock just came out and the match just stopped. Was like, that's disappointing.
It was awkward. I guess mine would probably be Lesnar and Triple H. Like, they had an Extreme Rules match in 2013. It was inside of a cage, and like Brock won, and that was just it. And I was like, well, okay.
Do you know what the other one I'm going to say is Buddy Murphy coming off the back of the Roman thing? Like, because he sort of accidentally found his way into that storyline because he was just in the background of a show. And like WWE all of a sudden had something with him. They gave him a match with like Bryan and gave him a match with Roman. And then that was it. It was just like, well, I guess he's done now.
Yeah, actually, I thought of a better one. Probably Mustafa Ali's return back to the main roster after he got injured, and he was cutting all these promos about saying like how he's gonna be WWE champion, and the name Mustafa's gonna like mean something and whatnot. And then they did nothing to it. And like they had like him versus Orton, and Orton beat him, and that was it. So everything Mustafa Ali related, he never gets the right like finish to his like feuds. I need more Mustafa, and I need him to do something important because he's so amazing and such a good person.
Absolutely, exactly. Like he's wicked. Yeah. I mean, I was like, he came back, to Raw, and I was like, yeah, Mustafa Ali's back. And then he just lost this week. I'm like, oh, God dang it. Al says, Al. So that's one of my favorite Rock promos. It's just Al. A bit of a guy named Al. Hey, first of all, thank you for all the content. It's keeping us sane throughout lockdown. It's super appreciated. With WWE slipping back into what looks like the Attitude Era with Raw Underground, will we see the return of Union Underground and the old Raw theme song across the nation? Al from Nottingham. I would love it, Al, because it's my favorite Raw song. I love that song. Move to the music, play the in music, move into the music, yeah, let's get it on. It's a banging tune.
I don't know. I was a big fan of that Nickelback theme song. It was interesting. That's what I grew up on. Like, I don't know. Something about it just really got me hyped up. I was like, I'm ready to see John Cena grab whoever's a celebrity guest of that week and like beat him up. Like, ooh, it's gonna be good.
How did that go again? As
Honestly, it's like,
going out tonight to get that. That's the one, yeah.
Such a banger. Such a banger.
Marcus Campbell, what are your opinions on Wrestle House? I've not actually seen it. I've not catched up on this week's Impact.
It's so good. It's like Big Brother House, but instead it's just with wrestlers, and it's so amazing. Like, there's so many guys, like, they'll run over and try to find like what room they're gonna stay in. Then, like, I think it was Kylie Ray and Susie was trying to find like a room, or maybe it was Rosemary. But Johnny Swinger gets in the bed, is like, who wants to swing with the swing daddy or something? I was like, what? Nah, Kylie is a good soul. She will not do that. She just like runs out, and like they have like a ring in the backyard, so they're doing like backyard matches also. And it's interesting. It's definitely something to watch. Like, they actually threw a shot at No Way Jose at one point, because they said like, oh, you're gonna sleep with that person. No way, Jose, or something like that. Like one of the Dieners said. And then like Tommy Dreamer cuts in, is like, nope, we didn't sign him. And I was like, oh, like, Dreamer, don't say that. That's mean.
Oh, bless him. Yeah, I need to check it out. Like, the only thing I've seen from Impact this week was the Rob Van Dam beatdown on Sammy with Katie twerking over his body.
But I loved it.
I did. Like, it was. I laughed uproariously. I thought the pair of them last week with like Sami Callihan wrecking her photo shoot and like putting his face on, I thought like her selling of it was so great. And like, yeah, Rob Van Dam beating up Sally Callahan while Katie is twerking over the pair of them. It made me laugh so much.
It's the greatest brilliant wrestling right now. It's the number one.
Yeah. I thought it was wicked. Abnahab says, got a long question here. Said, I've seen a lot of debate onto why AEW's Women's Division is bad. Most of them boil down to a lack of attraction. So I thought, is that the reason? If you look at NXT in the initial days, they didn't have any big names on the brand except for Natalya. They built up the Four Horsemen along with solid mid-carders in Jax, Bliss, and Carmella. Why does AEW fail to do that? I think I know the answer. While NXT was building its women's division, it was building its men's as well as its tags, and hence it grew as a whole. They had more indie names than for the men's like Balor and Joe, but they were still giving a chance to grow. I wasn't a big indie guy, and hence NXT was a breath of fresh air. With AEW, they have some well-established, well-known names in the men's division, hence the women's division sticks out like a sore thumb. My question is the way to fix this division is to bring in names like Tessa, Taya, Jordan Grace, or to try and cut back on the men's matches and give them time? I also have one more theory. Is AEW trying to pull a WWE by not giving the women's division a chance, and then when they do, it'll be like, we heard you. Okay, so that last point I think is really smart. Like, that's really cool that they took it to like proper. It's probably like conspiracy theory stuff, like they've done it on purpose. It's like brilliant reverse psychology. I think to your point, like with the NXT women's division, like that taking off was a case of it was the right time. Like, wrestling fans were so sick of women's wrestling getting no attention whatsoever on Raw and SmackDown on their pay-per-views. Like, it was such a disaster and a joke that NXT just doing something made them go like, oh my God, you're doing something. This is quite lovely. They're not divas anymore. They're women. And it was, even though they were kind of still being called divas and like the title still had jewels on it and stuff, it still looked like very WWE, but it caught fire. Like the work that Paige was doing, the work that Summer Rae was doing, and then, as you say, the Four Horsemen doing, it caught fire. So they ran with it. Like, and that kind of then sparked off into the main roster. AEW haven't had that moment yet. Like, they haven't had that thing. And like Tony Khan's the stats man. The women, unfortunately, aren't drawing in the ratings, so they don't get the time. But it's a vicious circle, because if you don't put them on TV, then they don't draw the ratings. If you don't give enough time, they don't draw the ratings. And like, so none of it works. I do think getting a name in there might help. Like if they had signed Sasha Banks, like if Sasha had left and they'd signed her, then 100% we'd be getting more women's wrestling on AEW. But she didn't, and they didn't. And so they're not. I guess, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Because, like, yes, they do need that one name. And, like, they do have names. Like, right now, Britt Baker and Big Swole, I love their feud. Like, even though that's the only thing they really show on television, it's, like, my favorite part of watching AEW, to be honest. Like, it's really entertaining in a weird way. Because, like, I want to see Big Swole go on to be a champion. But I'm also interested in, like, how great of a character Britt Baker's doing. So, I'm like, I'm interested in that. And, like, besides that, there's really nothing else. Because, like, Nyla just kind of fell off. I know Chris Statlander got injured, unfortunately. And the women's champion, I don't even know her name, honestly.
Hikaru Shida.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, we were saying this in the AEW review. Like, who's ranked number one in the like? I don't know who's currently ranked number one. And like, someone sent in a super chat being like, "What's Shida's plans for All Out?" And I'm like, I have a blues clue, like, of what Shida's doing for All Out. I know that Britt Baker and Big Swole are having a match, but I have no idea what the women's champion is doing, and that's a problem.
Yeah, like there is something missing. Like maybe it is the name. Maybe they would need someone like Tessa, or maybe at the time I wish like Deonna Purrazzo had signed there. If I knew that was the gimmick she was going to bring to Impact, she should have signed AEW because that would have blown up quickly. But yeah, like they're missing a name, and then they're missing like more character-based people. I feel like characters is what's really going to get AEW over in the women's division, because like everyone there is like, oh, I'm pretty and I can wrestle well. Yeah, everyone can wrestle well, but there's not a whole lot of character that's shown. Like Nyla's doing a good job, Britt's doing a great job, Big Swole, yes, but everyone else, they're getting there. They're just not there yet. Because like they're all talented, and I'm sure if they were given the right time that wasn't just on Dark, which a lot of people just unfortunately don't watch, then they would probably have more of an opportunity. So like, it's down to Tony to give them more of a shot, but it's also down to like them having more characters as well. And like maybe they need one more person to do that. Because like they have some, it's just not being showcased as well as it should be.
Exactly. And I think with like the thing that's easy to forget about NXT and their sort of like their early days of the women's division and like, you know, Paige and the horsewomen coming in, is it's easy to forget that it got over because of 15 years of WWE telling people women's, and you know, 15 years plus, you know, maybe even like you could even argue 25, 30 years of them telling the audience, this does not matter. Yeah. And people then said, no, do you know what? To me, it does matter. And like, so that really helped skyrocket that division. Without that fan reaction, I don't think they would have done as much as they did do.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly very true. It's just a complicated question, honestly, because there's so many factors into it. It's just, I don't know. Like maybe they need more people, maybe they don't. It's kind of just up to them, really. They just need to fix it. Like, I mean, obviously there's an issue, so it's just down to them just making it happen.
And to like, you know, signing Tessa, I mean, like Tyra and Jordan Grace they're with Impact. They're signed with Impact. They've got Impact contracts. And like I've spoken to Jordan Grace before, and she was like, you know, I love being in Impact. I like being in Impact's women's division because they really respect women's wrestling. And like, why would you want to leave that? If you're enjoying working there, you wouldn't want to go.
Yeah, no money's worth it if like you really, really want to be shown on television, which is the goal of all wrestlers, to be shown. So I can't blame her for that.
The notorious Alietta says, I hope you're doing well, staying safe. Before I get to my main question, I just wanted to ask, if Team WrestleTalk wins the big tag team turmoil at Quizzlemania 2000, does that mean that Ollie wins? And does that mean Adam is going to shave his hair? Come on, Luke, you can do this. I don't think that stipulation is still in play. I think Ollie Davis has to get a singles win. Also, I don't think we're winning. I'm training him, and it's not working. Anyway, so today I've got some hot takes on the previous week of wrestling. I enjoyed Raw Underground. It did more good than it did bad. Babakunde or Dabu Kato, I think his name is. Eric, Dolphin, Her Business all looked great and all got different kind of exposure, especially Dolphin and Eric, who've got really generic and formulaic over the past year. I know it could be scrapped in 3 weeks, but there's a lot of potential. You could see them setting up Bobby versus Brock and the whole thing, and I think that would be money. The whole Pat McAfee and Adam Cole thing was also A-OK. SummerSlam is usually when you have a celebrity versus wrestler gimmick, so I'm okay with them doing that for TakeOver before SummerSlam. The segment where Adam Cole got punted was red hot. What do you think? Stay safe. Jam that jam. Well, you've said you liked it, man.
I loved it. It was so cool. Who would expect a celebrity to really go and kick his head like a soccer ball? I loved it. I loved it. Like Adam, like he's been on top for a minute. It's okay if he kind of, sets himself down a couple pegs and just allows it to happen. Because like, it's not like he's a celebrity that has no fighting background or physical background. Like he was in the NFL. So like clearly he knows how to be physical. So it's okay to take some punishment from a guy that knows how to give it out and receive it. So if it was Kevin Hart or something, then sure, that's awkward. But it's so it's okay.
And lastly, Alex Kirkman says, yo, are there any old pay-per-views that are gimmick themed that you want resurrecting? Mine is Breaking Point, as I bloody loved it. What was the Breaking Point gimmick?
All submissions.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, everything was.
I do not remember that at all.
2009. It was like DX versus like Legacy and then like Orton. Oh, okay. It was the Undertaker match versus CM Punk where Undertaker didn't tap, but Tay Long said he tapped out and it was a screw job finish. It was that paper.
Yeah. Okay, it was that one. Right. Okay. Do you know what? I've been actually like, because I had a feeling. So our Patreon poll at the moment for what pay-per-view we're going to do for WrestleTalk Extra, it's currently SummerSlam 02, which I'd be very interested in because you've got the return of Shawn Michaels and you've got the Brock Rock match. Love to do that. But also SummerSlam 2010, legit one of the worst pay-per-views I've ever seen. And one of the most damaging pay-per-views I've ever seen with the death of the Nexus before they even got started.
So
I kind of had a feeling that SummerSlam 2010 was going to do well. So like while I was editing over the weekend, I was watching the pay-per-view that follows it, Night of Champions, and I was just sort of watching the Wade Barrett kind of like progression. But I was thinking, I was like, man, what do I want to watch? What like random show do I want to fire up? The next time I'm in a situation where I'm editing and I want something in the background, that's what I'm going to look up because I totally forgot about Breaking Point.
Yeah, Breaking Point was one of those shows. Like, if you're not a submission wrestling person, then you're gonna hate it. But like, it was amazing to me. Like, it was really dope.
Amazing. Like, I probably remember the name, just not the show itself. But I'm definitely going to check that out. Anyway, so do you think WWE should resurrect bragging rights? I mean, we've got Survivor Series. Survivor Series is my second favorite event behind the Rumble, and I really miss elimination matches with actual storylines. Do you know what, Alex? I used to love Survivor Series as well, but now it means nothing, and it basically just derails stories, and it really annoys me. So yeah, are there any gimmick themed pay-per-views you want to see back?
I would, first of all, I would get rid of Hell in a Cell just because I don't like the idea of that stipulation being just another gimmick. I don't like that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, get rid of it. Bring back something though. I don't even know. I can't even really think of one. I mean, I would say Over the Limit, but that wasn't really like a gimmick pay-per-view. I just like the matches on the shows. They're always just
I'd kind of like to see them bring back like the Cyber Sunday, like the fan vote thing. Like the fan vote thing always used to like throw things off. But I think like with Twitter being as big as it is and Instagram and things like that, like doing it as a social media poll rather than going to WWE.com and voting, doing them as like Twitter polls and Instagram stuff, I think would be actually, I think that'd be a really good way to kind of like increase and WWE bloody love social interaction as a way to kind of increase that. I think that'd be, Cyber Sunday is the answer I'm going to give.
I agree with that.
Well, that is all we have got time for this edition of the WrestleTalk podcast. Malcolm, thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people find you on social media?
Oh, they can find me on YouTube. That's the main one. YouTube.com/MuscleManMalcolm, the greatest wrestling YouTuber of all time. Go over there, subscribe, do what you got to do. Then Twitter and Instagram, the MuscleMan Mal, Twitter, Malcolm Muscle. Just go follow if you want. If you don't want to, it's all good. Just send me a tweet, say you watched this and you saw me. You're like, whoa, why is that guy wearing a pink sweatshirt? That's all I need.
Dude, you've got incredible style. It's you're rocking like this amazing pink headband with the hoodie and the Mick Foley like jacket and stuff. Man, if only I was that cool. But that is all we've got time for this edition of the WrestleTalk podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please do click the videos that have appeared on screen to catch up with more awesome WrestleTalk things and this button, which will send you over to Malcolm's channel and subscribe to that channel right there. Do it right now. I'm clicking on it. Click it. Open it in a new tab. Click it now. We'll see you next week. I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.